Chapter 1. Sunpaw woke up in the ThunderClan apprentice den. She looked around. Surprisingly, there were no other apprentices in the den. Not even her sibling were there. There were usually at least one or two of them in there, practicing or chatting with each other. Sunpaw quickly stood up and walked up to the entrance of the den to look if there were any cats in the camp, worried that she missed something or that something had happened. Thankfully, the clan was still there. It seemed like it was later in the day than Sunpaw usually woke up at. Her mentor should have showed up by now to start their training. She looked around the camp for her mentor, but she couldn't see them anywhere. She spotted their leader, Blue Star, sitting by the entrance of the leader den grooming her pelt. Sunpaw walked up to her. "Blue Star," she said. "Yes," Blue Star responded and stopped grooming herself. "Where's my mentor?" Sunpaw asked. "They're sick. You can do whatever you want while they recover," Blue Star said. "Oh, okay," Sunpaw said and started walking towards the prey pile as Blue Star started grooming her pelt again. Sunpaw took a fairly small trout from the prey pile and walked back to the apprentice den. She crouched down and ate the trout. When she was done eating the trout, she laid down. "I wonder what Nightpaw is doing right now. Maybe she's battle training. It would be fun watching her fight Tigerpaw and Tuxedopaw again," she thought and chuckled to herself. "It'd be cool learning how to swim, so I can catch trout for myself. I think my mentor told me that that's against the warrior code thing, right? Oop, this is getting boring," she thought and rolled onto her back with a bored grunt. "I want to do something ... but what? I could go on an adventure and look around the territory on my own this time," she thought. She stood up and started happily trotting towards the camp entrance. Chapter 2. Sunpaw looked out of the camp entrance, her tail twitching with excitement and with butterflies in her stomach. "Well, here it goes," she thought and took a step outside of the camp, her paws sinking into the soft grass of the forest. She looked up with a smile on her face, exited to go on her adventure. Sunpaw started curiously walking through the forest, looking at pretty trees and bushes with awe. Soon she started trotting, and then running, and then sprinting through the forest, eventually reaching a small river. Sunpaw stopped sprinting at the sight of the river. She started to slowly walk towards it, wanting to see if it was shallow enough to step into. She put her paw into the water. It was very shallow. She smiled as she pulled out her paw from the river, the long, soft fur on her paw now dripping wet. She laid down in the shallow water and started to roll around in it, the relaxingly warm from the summer sun water engulfing her fluffy cream and white fur, making her pelt's tabby pattern barely visible. She laid and relaxed in the water for a bit, thinking of her siblings again. Tigerpaw would have loved this, Sunpaw thought, smiling at the thought of her brother Tigerpaw being there with her. Nightpaw would have probably also liked it, but I don't think Tuxedopaw would. He doesn't like water. Nightpaw would most likely splash water on everyone. Sunpaw thought, laughing to herself while imagining her and her siblings playing together at the river. Sunpaw decided to get out of the water, since he had been laying there for kind of a while now. She stood up and stepped out of the river. She shook the water out of her fur, but it was still slightly wet. She looked around, seeing the large oak trees that were basically everywhere. "I know, I'll climb a tree," Sunpaw thought, determined to climb one of the oaks. She ran up to an oak that looked easy to climb and looked at it for a moment before jumping at it and digging her claws into the tree trunk. She climbed up a bit before jumping onto one of the branches. She continued jumping from branch to branch, each one slightly higher than the other, until she was pretty high up in the tree. She sat down on the branch, looking down at the river she was previously relaxing in. She felt a bit tired, so she decided to lay down and rest. "I'll just take a quick rest," Sunpaw thought, before promptly falling asleep. Sunpaw woke up on the branch. The sun looked like it was about to set soon. Maybe she had slept a bit too long. "Oh my StarClan, how long have I even slept? Golden Cloud is probably be so worried," Sunpaw thought. I need to get down and back to camp. I gotta be careful, though. Sunpaw thought while trying to be as careful as possible while standing up on the branch. It's like a miracle that I didn't fall down, ... Sunpaw thought and started jumping onto lower branches until she got to a branch low enough for her to jump to the ground. Okay, I have to get home now, Sunpaw thought. Chapter 4, Sunpaw walked up to the river. I don't really feel like getting wet right now. I'ma just jump over it, I guess, Sunpaw thought. She took some steps back and ran towards the river. She jumped over it, but her back paws still landed on the edge of the river and got a bit wet. Oh, Sunpaw said and shaked her back paws, making them a bit less wet. She continued walking. A path started a bit after the river. Sunpaw followed the path. She knew that it led to ThunderClan camp. As she walked down the path, she started thinking about her siblings once again. I wonder if Nightpaw, Tigerpaw, and Tuxedopaw miss me. They're probably wondering where I am. Sunpaw thought, I hope that Golden Cloud and Brambletooth aren't mad at me, ... They probably aren't, though, Sunpaw thought. Sunpaw realized that she would most likely need to move faster in order to come home sooner. So she started trotting instead of walking. I'm gonna need to start running. This is taking too long. Sunpaw thought she would sprint, but she was too tired. She looked around while running on the path. It was starting to get dark. Weird how I haven't seen any other cats on this little adventure thing I went on ... But there is already a lot of prey and stuff, so they probably didn't need to go hunting or anything like that today, Sunpaw thought. I hope I'll get home before it gets too dark. It gets really scary here sometimes. Sunpaw thought, almost getting a bit anxious at the thought of it getting dark and scary in the forest while she was still there, running towards the ThunderClan camp. I really hope that doesn't happen ... Sunpaw thought. I think that's the camp entrance, Sunpaw thought. She started running a bit slower and was soon only walking towards the ThunderClan camp entrance. She walked into the camp while panting, tired and out of breath from all the running. She dragged herself through the camp and up to the apprentice den, where her siblings and parents were laying, waiting for her to get home. Sunpaw finally got to the entrance of the den. She walked in and practically fell onto her nest. Chapter 5, Sunpaw, where have you been? Golden Cloud exclaimed in a worried tone, looking at Sunpaw. Yes, Sunny, you were gone for like forever. Nightpaw said, I went on an adventure ... Sunpaw murmured before falling asleep on her nest.